Hello, my name is Mr. Chisholm and I'm here to speak to you today about studying GCSE PE here at KCC and why we feel that this would be an excellent course for lots of our students to study in years 10 and 11. So the students who will succeed in GCSE PE, we feel that the students who really enjoy and have a passion for taking part in physical activity and sport would really enjoy the physical aspects of the GCSE PE programme. As I will discuss later in the presentation, students will be assessed in 3 different activities. And we feel in order to be a strong candidate who will be successful in GCSE PE, you should be training or regularly participating in at least 2 of those activities. So that might be through KCC clubs, or that may be through external clubs. Or we have had lots of students doing activities such as skiing, where they do that outside of school, and equestrian, where they do that outside of school, and they really enjoy those activities. But we feel in order to be successful, you would be regularly training, competing, where possible, in at least 2 out of the 3 activities that you would need to use for GCSE PE. We also feel that there's a very strong link with biology in the sciences. So if you've enjoyed biology in years 7, 8 and 9, then there's lots of links to that, especially in paper 1, as I'll go on to talk about during the presentation this afternoon. And we feel that students that enjoy biology have a keen interest in reading about sport in the media, be that autobiographies and books, be that news articles or watching sporting documentaries and live sport. Students that have that passion and are really engaged in physical activity and sport, we think that this could absolutely be the course for them. So there are 3 different components to the GCSE PE programme. Component 1 is the human body and physical activity and sport, and there'll be a 1 hour and 15 minute 78 mark paper that will be sat at the end of year 11, and that will be worth 30% of the GCSE, and it is comprised of a range of multiple choice, short answer and extended questions, and I'll go through the topics in a bit more detail on a subsequent slide. Component 2 is a separate paper, that is the Sociocultural influences and wellbeing and physical activity in sport. Again, that is sat at the end of year 11. That again is worth 30% of the GCSE, 1 hour and 15 minutes and 78 marks. And again, that's made up of multiple choice, short answer and extended writing questions. For both of those 2 papers, there'll be 2 extended questions, which we will practice throughout the GCSE programmes. One will be worth 5 to 8 marks, the second is always worth 9 marks. And so we really try to work on those 2 questions for both of those papers, because they are worth obviously a substantial percentage of the overall marks on the paper. As well as that, there is the practical and the coursework element, which is worth 40%, component 3, where students will be assessed in 3 different practical activities, as I've already alluded to, and also they will complete a piece of coursework, which I'll discuss later on. So that is how students will be assessed and what they will learn within GCSE. Within each of those assessments, we have different assessment objectives. So students will have to demonstrate their knowledge. So for example, they would have to be able to identify a muscle in the body. They would have to be able to describe a different component of fitness, or they would have to maybe be able to show their knowledge of any of the different components of the course, such as being able to explain why athletes may take a performance-enhancing drug. As well as that, students would then have to apply that knowledge to sport and physical activity. So once they are able to identify which muscle contracts to help create extension at the elbow, can they then apply that to a sporting example of when an athlete would need to extend the elbow during sporting performance. So that is worth 20% of their GCSE, and we really help to support students to be able to apply their knowledge to a range of different sports, not just the sports they're interested in undertaking, but any of the questions on the exam papers could be on things such as athletics, rugby, netball, hockey, football, badminton, swimming. So we really have to practice that over the 2-year course. Then there are those 2 extended questions on each paper, which is about analysing and evaluating factors that underpin performance. And we will do lots of skills and develop that skill in terms of being able to analyse and evaluate different factors and the impact that they have on people's activity levels in sport. And then again, there's that practical element, AO4, where students get assessed in their practical activities and their coursework. So in terms of the content, in red on the board there are the 4 topics found in paper 1. So paper 1, the human body, is very much to do with all of the different component parts of the body that we feel GCSE PE students should need to know. So applied anatomy and physiology, where we're looking at the musculoskeletal system, the skeleton, the muscular system, and how those two work together. Movement analysis, where we look at things such as levers, where we look at mechanical advantage and different planes and axes within the body. And then physical training, where we look at different components of fitness, we look at different methods of training, and we undertake that in the spring term of year 10. Then we would start the coursework, normally in the summer term of year 10, which is worth 10% of the GCSE, where students will evaluate their own performance or another student's performance in a practical activity. And we would also then start the second paper, which is sports psychology, where we'd look at how students can use those techniques in sports psychology to improve their performance. Different sociocultural influences, such as the impact of different groups within society on physical activity in sport, such as age, their ethnicity, their gender. Then we look at things such as technology in sport. We look at the influence of media and sponsorship in sport, and again, those performance-enhancing drugs. And then we finish by looking at fitness and well-being, where we look at diet and different components of health and fitness. As you can see on both of those, there are use of data, which are very small units within both, where students have to be able to interpret and apply information from graphs and tables across the board. So in terms of the practical assessment and how students would be assessed practically, they would receive a mark out of 25 for each of their sports and activities. So the teacher assessing them would assess them out of 10 marks for their performance over 5 specified skills, which are found in the specification. And your PE teacher can give you the information on what those 5 skills are for the activities that you may be interested in. And then you'll be assessed out of 15 marks for your performance in a full context, be that a routine, a match, a race, and how well you can compete in your sport or activity. And so for each sport, you'll get a mark out of 25, and then you get a mark out of 25 for your coursework, which was that assessment of your own individual performance. So as it says there on the board with the kind of 4th bullet point down, students must be assessed in 1 team activity, 1 individual activity, and the 3rd activity can be team or individual. Okay, so 3 activities, 1 team, 1 individual, the 3rd can be either or. So there is the list of team activities. And there have been some new activities recently added. So if you have a sibling that has undertaken GCSE PE, there may be a few changes to the sports that are able to be used, such as sailing has been introduced, and inline roller hockey and ice hockey. So you must do a minimum of 1 of those activities, but you could undertake 2 for your assessment. And for each of those sports, there are 5 specified skills that you would have to perform, and we can give you the details of what they are. And then the individual activities. So you must do a minimum of 1 of these. Very popular here at KCC are sports such as badminton, athletics is extremely popular, tennis, and as well as that, swimming and rock climbing is one of the activities that we actually teach within your practical lessons. So all students will undertake theory lessons as well as practical lessons across their timetable, and we do try to cover a wide range of individual and team activities in those practical lessons. So finally, why study GCSE PE? Well, the sport and leisure industry is currently booming, and we think that there are lots and lots of different careers and pathways this could lead to, and lots of students who have studied GCSE PE here at KCC have gone on to be very, very successful. Some students have gone on to be professional athletes, playing for clubs such as the Exeter Chiefs. We've also had some students go into things such as physiotherapy, coaching, teaching, sports psychology, personal training. As well as that, we've had lots of students that have also got into the sport and leisure industry, working in leisure centres and undertaking lots of different activities within sport and physical activity. So hopefully that's given you a good overview of the GCSE PE programme here at KCC. If you'd like to ask myself any more questions, then please email me at tom.chisholm, CHISHOLM, @kingsbridgecollege.org.uk, or email Mr. Meatyard at tom.meatyard@kingsbridgecollege.org.uk, the head of PE here at KCC. And Mr. Meatyard and I can answer any of your questions, and please feel free to speak to your PE teacher who can give you more information on the GCSE PE course and your suitability and whether that's something that would be good for you to study here at KCC. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.